Okay, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. On a rainy Tuesday. And it looks like more rain is in store for us.
My best friend's in charge of all of that.
There you go. All right. Time is 3 o'clock. Meeting is now called to order. This is the work session for the city of Semmes. Roll call, please.
Mayor Baker,
Here.
Councilmember Webb,
Here.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Watts, Councilmember Platt.
Here. Good. Approval of minutes from the previous work session council meeting. You have those in your packet. If everybody would please take a look at that. There you are.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Mr. President, move we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. The minutes from the previous work session meeting is approved. Good. Very good. Moving on to presentations for A. Is Jason here yet?
He just pulled in.
Okay, good. Let's see. And the crime report, Sergeant Simonson isn't here yet. Why don't we go ahead and do it in item B first, since you're ready to go with that. This is item B, Call News MGM football preview advertisement.
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Denise?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hello?
Traditionally, the city of Semmes places an ad in the Call News for the 4th of July celebration. We opted not to do that this year, but they also put out like a football insert magazine, you know, like a little magazine talking about the football season. And Semmes, the city generally places an ad congratulating and wishing good luck to the Mary Montgomery football team. And that is rapidly approaching. Next council meeting, I'll talk specifics about the cost and everything, but I just wanted, you know, to kind of put it out there for y'all to be thinking about. I think the community football is a big deal. And I think that it's something that the city needs to consider doing again this year.
Okay.
And while I'm up here, let me just tell you very briefly, on the 3rd, we have the Freedom Celebration that Orchard Assembly does with the sponsorship of the city. So I want to make sure everybody is prepared to come out and support them and watch the lovely fireworks. And to tell you that our Cat and Dog Days of Summer would have been a very lovely event if rain had participated, or the weather had participated. It did not. We were having the Cat and Dog Days of Summer, and it rained cats and dogs.
You weren't there?
I was there. I was there. I could not bring the sunshine with me though. But this event actually ended up costing less than half of what I had anticipated. And the vendors were very appreciative. The animal shelters were very appreciative. So I may see if we can take another run of it at it with the other half of that budget later on in the summer.
Okay.
Okay, and I think now I'm done unless y'all have questions for me.
Any questions, council? Thank you for all your hard work on the dog
Thank
days.
you.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
It was fun, but it was just a little damp.
Hard to control the weather.
Yes.
Very good. Now we'll move on to Jason's presentation on Semmes Municipal Park, Phase 2. You have 300 slides, right?
No, I don't have any slides there.
Okay.
Basically, we want to just talk about Municipal Park. Phase 1 was splash pad, of course, and everything that we've done out there already. We applied for a grant back in the beginning of 2016, the Land Water Conservation Fund grant, and we just got word back that we've finally been approved altogether. It's a $130,000 matching grant, so we can spend up to $130,000 and get a full match on it. The part that we submitted for the grant was phase 2, which includes a playground, and that's the big ticket item, because right now the splash pad is a wonderful asset. People love it. We have a huge attendance, huge crowds. There's really nothing else for them to do out there. So Mr. Shirey and Mr. Platt, that's one of the things we talked about at the Parks and Rec meeting, is to go forward with the phase 2, and that being the playground, another pavilion, and a little bit of walking trail. So the big picture for the park, the 5-year plan, 10-year plan, we'll have a lot of things going on across the street in the big field, but right now we're just trying to finish up the splash pad area. So I think there's a resolution in later on that we'll talk about to execute the contracts if we decide to go for the grant. So, anyway, any questions on that?
Any questions? Mr. Smith?
No question.
Mr. Witt?
No.
Black?
No question, but a quick comment that this has been going on for a very long time. The Parks and Recreation Committee, 3-4 months at least, I know, and this was a big thing for Jerry, so
Yes.
I'm glad we're forgetting.
And we've had a lot of discussions on it, and we've also had representatives from playground equipment companies come in and give us some presentations and show us some diagrams of what we could get, how much it would cost, things like that. So,
Right.
a lot to talk about, but it's just kind of introduce it to everybody. We don't have an overall picture right now. I can, probably next meeting, I can show some pictures of some options that we have, but we've really been working that through the Parks and Rec Committee.
Okay. Very good.
Right.
Anybody? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sergeant Simon?
Just to let you know, I don't have a full report today. I can tell you we responded to about 515 calls for service, but I don't have that broken down. My guy back at the office transferred.
Okay.
So-
515 since 31 May or what?
Since 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of
First 2
June.
weeks of June,
Yes.
515 calls. Okay. And that's within the police jurisdiction?
Yes,
Okay. And they run the gamut as usual?
correct.
Okay, good. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Since we're on the crime report, Mr. Smith, do you have any questions?
About the crime report?
Yeah.
Just emphasize again, that was just 2 weeks you're talking about? 500 calls in 2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
Understand.
That was June 1st through June 15th.
So you've been busy.
It's been busy. You know, school's out now and things are picking up a little bit. It usually does.
That's a lot, 500 in 2 weeks. Mr. Webb, any questions?
No comment.
Mr. Platt, you probably know.
Stay safe, brother.
Well, I don't know, I don't want to appear to be too happy, but people are in jail that need to be in jail. So, yeah, I'm happy.
Okay. Anything? Okay, very good, thank you. Very good, moving on to item 5, review of checks for signature. Has everyone seen the checks?
Yeah.
You have? Who has not? Any questions about the checks? Anybody?
No.
Okay, we'll move on then. There are no ordinances to discuss. We're moving on to review and discussion of proposed resolutions. The first one is not a new item. It's a resolution to establish policy on accepting private roads in the city limits for maintenance. And I think, Jason, you helped with this. Our attorney has worked on this, and we're now open for questions. As you're aware, before we get into questions, as you're aware, we have many private roads in our city. And quite obviously, for many valid reasons, the people who live on those private roads would like them to be taken over and maintained by the city. But we cannot just accept every road without due consideration. And so this policy, this program would provide that due consideration. So that's why we are bringing it forward. Any questions or discussion?
My question would be, if you have some people that want the city to do the work, and you have some that do not. So, how are you gonna handle it?
Well, it says here,
Don't do it, huh?
you can't do it. It says here all. As I read the document, it says all adjacent property owners shall sign and submit a petition to the Public Works Superintendent. So in that case, it's not going to happen. Yeah, but that is a very good question. Yeah,
Thank you.
and that's really the way it should be.
Mr. President, I think the main issue is that some roads that are technically, legally private roads have become de facto public roads.
Sure.
And so we have to go through a process to recognize
True.
that this is being used by the public, not just by
True.
individuals.
Because there's a tremendous amount of responsibility and liability when we take a road, as you all know. Once you take a road in as a city road, you own it forever, and all maintenance issues, all drainage issues, anything that pops up, they're yours forever and ever. So we want to express caution with it.
Thank you.
There's somebody now wanting the road.
Yeah.
Do
Okay,
we have, I have one, we don't have a motor grader, I mean, no, good.
okay. Any other comments on 7A? Comment, Kathy? Mr. Watts?
Is there anything that could help maintain if the road is not paved and all? Like, right now, I live on a road that's considered private road.
Mm-hmm.
Some might consider it as a driveway.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, there's widows back in there that have a horrible, horrible time. I've talked to the mayor about it, trying to just get in and out. And I have a tractor, but half the time I can't even get it started. And have flat tires and stuff like that. But my hope and help is that somehow there will be a consideration come up where I can get some type of help, and I've talked to him about it. And I've talked to Howard about different things too, the flooding issues that we've got going over, and washing out some of the road. But if there's any type of consideration from the city to help, with kind of smoothing this road some, that I've got over there, that I don't want to take any priority because someone said, well, if you're a councilman, you'll try to do something, and I sure don't want to do nothing that's not kosher with, what, is right. But I have explained that it's, and I've tried to go to my colleagues around and ask, would y'all join and help? And it's like numb and void, like, no, we're not gonna do nothing. You just sit there and watch your water erode your property. So anyway, just some type of consideration if we can think about that as y'all talk. Which I don't know if there's anything or something, so, but I hope that there'll be something, so.
You may have to do what I had to do the other day for my folks right across Red Creek Drive. Couldn't get a motor grader over there, had holes in it, so I took a shovel over there and scooped up dirt along the side of the road and put in the hole.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
So,
But our city attorney, he can tell us what we can do
You got it.
to stay out of trouble.
Okay, anything else on 7A? Anybody else? All right, moving on, 7B. Resolution for disposition of certain surplus or unneeded city personal property. In this particular case, the steamroller. That item is attached. My understanding from talking to Public Works is the steamroller is too big. Is that right?
Yeah, it's hard to transport, really not fitting to anything that we do. We just kind of, we got it off of a surplus deal from the county,
Yeah,
and it's just, doesn't meet our needs.
okay, so, very well, and the idea is,
Question. What was it used for?
The only thing we've used it so far is for when we did the training facility, we compacted some dirt with that, and we compacted rocks around the parking lot, but we can't move it, it's just too big.
yeah. All right, the original purchase cost was $2,000, and I believe there's some documentation in here. We would have to set a reserve amount. And of course, the reserve amount is the dollar value below which we could not go, which is common when you're doing this type of thing, because at a certain point, you're better off keeping it than selling it. You can't give it away. All right, but the original cost is $2,000. The age of it is a 1991, so the depreciation probably is quite steep at this point. All right. Okay. Any questions or discussion on the Ferguson steamroller? Mr. Smith?
No question.
Mr. Webb?
None.
Mr. Watt?
No.
Mr. Platt?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. Moving on, item 7C, resolution for disposition of certain surplus or unneeded city personal property, Toro Z Master Mower. This is another item that has been around a while. And what's the story on that, Jason?
It's just, it's the first mower that we've had, and so it's been through 4 summers of wear and tear, and it's starting to cost us money to keep maintained. And so we'd like to dispose of it and replace it with something new. It's about time to get a new mower.
Okay.
It's a 55 inch, I believe.
Okay, we've had it
We've had it for this will be our 4th summer.
4th summer. Is it still operating?
Yeah, it operates, but we put a lot of money in it.
Okay. Okay, so it's starting to become more of a liability. Okay, true. And we would need a reserve amount on that too for the council to consider. Any questions on the Toro Z Master? Mr. Webb? Mr. Spinney?
No.
Mr. Platt?
As far as discussion on the last 2 items, in dealing with Jason and others on these matters,
Right.
somewhat discovered that there's an opportunity to pick up additional equipment in the county that's fixing to.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have the council consider having Mr. Franklin take a look at what's available. He may have no immediate need for anything that's there, but I'd like to look at it from a, if nothing else, a public safety perspective.
Sure.
If I think that I understand it correctly, before it goes to bid, the city, Semmes, or any other entity could get a pretty good deal.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking about some of the worst case scenarios we should, I think, consider allowing Mr. Franklin to put together a wish list.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, moving on. Resolution 7D, authorizing agreement between the City of Semmes and the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs and authorizing expenditure of funds for project number 15 LW-1022, Phase 2 of Semmes Municipal Park. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Any questions on that? It should be in your packet. It's a 50% project.
No question. It's says on an advance payment basis. That means they're going to forward the money to us before we spend it. Is that the idea?
I don't think so. Usually it's a reimbursement.
I know, but it says on an advance payment basis, so.
I wasn't familiar with that. I was under the impression that it was a reimbursement.
I know, usually it is. That's why I was surprised at this.
I'll
Good.
check on that. I'll definitely check on that right away.
Very good.
That's what it said.
The agreement, if you look at the agreements in section F, method of payment, reading through that, it says that the subrecipient, which is the city, would receive payment on an advance basis, provided that it maintains a cash management plan. And then, of course, if the advance request exceeds 30 days, then we'll have to provide a written explanation requesting advance funds subject blah, blah, blah. But the way it's written in the agreement, it says advance payment. So,
Yes,
am I
and yes, and I
reading that
see
wrong?
It also says right after that,
reimbursement. You know,
right,
if
you
you
can
don't-
do it either way.
Either way.
If you don't meet the requirements above, then you have to do all the. Okay, so it really is with that. There are paperwork straight about that.
It's probably more work to do it in advance, but, yeah.
Who's gonna design? Is there a design already for what we're gonna do?
Well, it's all gonna be done pretty much, like the playground would be turnkey. We just buy it from the developers or whoever, the playground company. And the sidewalks and stuff, we would just do that in-house. The pavilion, we would do in-house. We don't really have a design. We can do a standard pavilion or whatever the case may be, but no, we don't have really a design.
During the Parks and Rec meetings, Jerry and others, they went through the books, they picked out the equipment they thought would be nice. And it's like it said, it's kind of a smorgasbord, and then they put it together.
Well, we're out, what I was wondering about too is the amount of money that's mentioned here. What are we gonna get for that?
Well,
Whatever we decide, or
You could spend up to 130,
do it?
and you don't have to spend 130, but that's the max that they'll match.
Good. Thank you.
I have another question. On our 50% of the project cost is you charge off our labor
Yes.
and all of our work to it.
Yes.
So it would not necessarily be directly this much money out of
Right.
pocket.
Good.
Mr. President, can I make one other?
Sure.
Absolutely. Sort of a proviso. I would really like to see any structure we do be properly engineered and inspected, go through all the steps that, for safety, for good engineering, that we would require of anybody else.
Okay.
Do we understand we're gonna do that?
Sure.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
So we'll need to amend the resolution to say or reimbursement basis.
Right. Because it's basically two options, but I imagine it's probably less cumbersome to wait till you after the fact.
Right.
The main thing is we get reimbursed. I know some of the other projects, it doesn't work that way at all, so,
Yeah, most of them you pay up front
You
and
pay
then
up
you
front.
reimburse.
yeah. Okay. All righty. Item E, authorizing expenditure of funds to purchase clerk books, municipal accounting system. This was discussed at the Finance Committee meeting, and I understand approved by the Finance Committee. This is an addendum to the accounting system that we have. Mr. Smith, I'll let you take the floor and discuss
Well,
it.
we've been looking toward to having a more complete financial accounting for a long time, and certainly the Finance Committee has looked at many things and seen many housekeeping systems, and in fact, on one of them, they said, we're too expensive for you, and they really were. And so with the help of our city clerk and our bookkeeping department, we did come upon this, and we've talked with them several times, and we believe this will do the job. Several things are involved, by the way, and one of those involves coming up with a chart of accounts. This is the chart of accounts for Minnesota. Here's one for North Carolina. These are just the first few pages of those for Georgia, and for Tennessee, just the first few pages. Alabama does not have a standard municipal chart of accounts, and that's the basic organization of your financial data, which allows your bookkeeping system to separate the large capital items from the daily expenses. And so we will be stepping up into a system that allows us to take this, our assets, which are being surveyed right now and brought into our property book, or bring those up on the books, and we'll be able to see our true financial situation each and every month. And so if this is approved today, I think we'll be able to see some results maybe in about 6 weeks or so. So this will be permit us as the council, mayor and council, to have a better handle on the financial situation and be able to look at the books and see where we are each month.
Very good. Any questions from council on Mr. Smith's discussion? Mr. Webb, anything?
No.
And Mr. Platt?
No, sir.
Mr. Watt? Thank you. Continuing on, we segue right into the finance report. Do you have anything to add or not?
Well, I won't repeat that. Very happy to see that we think we're going to get on the right track. We know we're going to get on the right track. We do have another subject, though, and that is annexation. And we have had a fairly sudden representation from several different areas, several different subdivisions, people that want to bring their subdivisions in. And we first explored the possibility of having them voted in. That doesn't seem to be in the picture, so working out a different way of getting a large number of people in a short time. So there's definitely a possibility we'll have several subdivisions possibly coming in by fall, hopefully.
Very good. All right. Mr. Webb, Public Works, anything to report?
A lot of work going on,
Yeah.
and you can see it at night. I'm gonna talk about that later. Want me to tell you now?
Yes.
Sure, go ahead.
The street light project, that's something that, that has really, made a big difference. Over on Fire Tower Road and those curves, I'll tell you now, that was a godsend. I'll tell you that. You can see, before it was no lighting, but it is now. And there've been a lot of people run through the curve.
Right.
One went through, the first one up there, went all the way out into the people's yard up there. They didn't know where they,
Right.
didn't know it was there. But, we still got to pick out some more spots for the light, or approve some that I've been talked to about. And we will, make a list, and, Jason and I will get with you on that. And, the drainage at Fire Station number 1, I'll tell you now, I went by there. I could not believe what they had done to that to correct the problem. But it was not an easy project. I really, really appreciate the city employees taking care of that awful project. But resurfacing, this is good news. Contracts have been signed, and the construction is started in July. And see, the contractor has finished the drainage work and is now working on widening the intersection. Is that at Wolf?
Moffett, McCrary, and Wolf.
Moffett? Yeah. And people complain to me and wonder why this is not finished.
Yeah.
One thing, the weather, but other work that had to be done in the ground, the drainage, water lines, gas lines, communication lines, all of that had to be moved and redone. That's why, it's one reason why it's taken so long. But that's been finished, and they should, I guess, when they, I don't know how they're situated for work, but they're pouring concrete this morning for the drainage. If you're eastbound coming over the viaduct, there's a drainage trap there that has to be set. All of the water coming off the viaduct to not come down the street. It's got to get off of there before it comes down. And they were doing that yesterday, so we're in good shape there.
Good deal.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
sir.
Thank you.
And I appreciate all your hard work too. I see them over there every day working. And we did all that in-house pretty much. We didn't have to use a contractor at all. So that was
Oh, yes,
basically
that was-
our own talent. But thank you very much. Please pass that on.
That job was about 40 years too late. I mean,
Okay.
been a mess.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Poor design, poor.
Any other questions for Mr. Webb and Public Works? Council? All right, next up is Mr. Platt with Public Safety.
Well, if I may, first, Mr. Smith is talking about the annexation, and I'm lacking in a complete understanding of who's pursuing that and how it's going. And the reason I have a sudden interest is I just can't say how many number of people are asking to be annexed. And I've talked with Jason and the GIS people to well at length, and I just don't have a handle on this. We have a big need of getting with these people. I don't know what to do with it. It's no longer sufficient to talk with them one-on-one because there's too many. So whoever's responsible for that, I need to know more about it. And, you know, as far as public safety, the sergeant has pretty much told you what's going on, and I'm pretty happy because people that have registered a complaint in the last couple of weeks have called with a thank you, and there's some public media comments. I don't know if y'all keep up with them or care about them or not, but some of the biggest problems that we've had around here in the last 2 weeks or a month have been pretty well put behind bars. And the last thing, which I think is very, very important, I'm going to ask the council to consider maybe an amendment to the rules on the use of city vehicles, because I am out looking and trying to not get into our people's business, but to see what their problems may be. And I don't think that our employees, especially our management level people, the department heads, I don't think they should have to drive their personal vehicle home to pick up the city vehicle to respond to an incident. I think that we've got department heads that have a 24-hour job, and I think we need to take a look at letting them take vehicles pretty much as they please, and that's it.
I understand. Any other comments on Mr. Platt's report?
I agree with it.
It's good comments, we'll have to follow up on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in particular, I mean, if you look at the area of the fire department, chief is called and can be called any hour of the day or night, and it does significantly slow down his response time when he has to go in and change out vehicles.
Well, it's hard to get to a heart attack victim timely when you don't have any lights on your family car. You know.
So you make a valid point. Very good. Parks and Rec, Mr. Platt.
Trying to finish up some things that Mr. Shirey was working on. Progress is being made. Jason, the signs and the stuff like that. Jerry worked on that quite a bit. Got those, I think, pretty much ready to go up into the parks. And Jerry and I were working on trying to find a use for the property on Schellingers Road, and that's still in the works. And what else, Jason? Was there anything else that?
Just the park, we talked about that, I don't know if the bicycle things for the school we
Yeah,
talked about.
yeah, but we got that going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to mention that, that's fine, but I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Oh, we're working on the sign for the municipal park sign to go
Yeah.
on Morris Hill Road. We're trying to find property owners there to see if they'll
Right.
allow us to put one there.
Yeah, and our last discussion also was a consideration of some type of tribute to Mr. Shirey, and the committee is working on that, and probably will bring something to the council, I would say by the next meeting or so.
Great, great. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Council, do you have a comment? Okay. Any other staff comments? Steve?
Appreciate what Denise is doing.
Always.
Different stars, right?
She's always working hard. And we appreciate, again, all your hard work on the dog days. Yes.
Is there a possibility that we might get her officially or otherwise as our city weather
City
maker?
weather prognosticator, yeah, because it just changed.
I think weather maker.
Weather maker?
If she plans something, it rains.
Not yet.
I'm really great at that.
Got a point.
You've been great, Denise.
Got a point. Moving into comments, two really. On June 6th, June 7th, there was a report put out that showed that of the top 100 small towns in the state of Alabama, Semmes was rated number 54 in terms of success ratios for starting new business, which is very good. And we are ahead of, among many others, Daphne and Gulf Shores. So that's very good news. Business is coming in. I know from talking to real estate agents that our houses are, the value of our houses are going up. People want to live in Semmes. So this is all good news. And I want to share that with the council. I have copies of that, and Arthur, I'll be glad to give you a copy of that, but it shows us at number 54 as of June 6th or 7th of this year. And another reminder, I'll also mention this during the regular session, but our next meeting will be on the 5th of July, not the 4th of July, as the 4th of July is a city holiday. And of course, as mentioned earlier, the 3rd of July is the fireworks celebration at Mary G. Montgomery High School. Very good. Any other business that might come before the meeting? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned until 4 p.m. All righty. It's 4 o'clock. The regular session of the City Council, City of Semmes is called to order at 4 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Baker,
Here?
Councilmember Watts, Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Webb,
Here.
Councilmember Platt.
Here. Very good. Let's see, I was going to ask, Mr. Byrd, would you do us the honor of the invocation?
Will.
And Chief, would you lead us in the pledge?
Let's pray. Our Lord and Heavenly Father, we thank you for every blessing that's ours in you. We thank you for your birth, the virgin birth, your sinless life, your death on the cross in our stead, in our place. We thank you, Father, for letting Jesus be our high priest and our advocate before the throne, before you. We thank you, Lord, for your presence with us here today. through your Spirit, the Spirit of Christ, and the Spirit of the Father, the living God, we thank you, Lord, for being with us. We thank you, Lord, for wisdom for all of our people in this upcoming hurricane season, that people will prepare and be ready. We thank you, Father, for giving them wisdom with how to drive on these streets. We thank you, Father, for wisdom for this business ahead of us here. And we thank you for your presence with us. We thank you for your love. Be with us and guide us and guide us as we also travel on these roads. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Join me in saying the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you both. Very good. First item, consideration of the minutes from the regular council session of June 6th, 2017. You should have those in your packets.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved from the regular council session of June 6th of this year. Presentations or guest speakers, we have none, correct? Next is the financial report. Approval of checks for signature. I believe during the work session we went around the room. Is there anyone on council who has not seen the checks? Mr. Webb, you see them?
I got 'em.
You good, Mr. Platt?
I'm good.
Okay.
Mr. Watts? Mr. Smith?
Move we approve.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Councilmember Watts?
Here.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Webb?
Yes.
Councilmember Platt?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes. The checks are approved for signature. Very good. Moving on, we have no ordinances. The first resolution was on an earlier meeting. Resolution 9A is resolution to establish the policy on accepting private roads within the city limits for maintenance. Is there any further discussion on 9A from anyone? Mr. Webb, any further discussion?
No.
Mr. Platt?
I'm good.
Mr. Watt?
No, I just talked with our attorney, and if there is, like, and Mr. Webb too, during the break, that if there's damage being done, going on public property, that he's gonna check on it to make sure that it's okay to go ahead and fix that damaged area. So that will be helpful, with my situation and some of it, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Mr. President, we've considered this a length for a long time, and I believe it's time we move to approve it.
Very good. That was a motion.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote?
Councilmember Watts?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Webb?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What's the wording of your,
Move is the same thing as a motion.
yeah, what are your,
to approve it.
Approve what?
The resolution to establish a policy on accepting private roads within the city limits for maintenance.
Yes.
And Mr. Platt?
Yes.
And Mayor Baker?
Yes. Very good. Resolution 9A is approved. Resolutions B through E require immediate consideration.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Roll call vote?
Councilmember Watts?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Webb?
Yes.
Councilmember Platt?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes. Very good. Items B through E are approved for immediate consideration. Next item is item resolution 9B, resolution for disposition of certain surplus or unneeded city personal property, in particular in this item, a Ferguson steamroller. We talked about that in the work session. Is there additional discussion or comment?
Believe we have to put a reserve amount in. I propose $300.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Let's see, we're just discussing it right now.
Oh,
Let's see, Mr. Webb, what do you think about the reserve amounts?
For the sale of,
Yes, sir, the original purchase, basically what it is the original purchase was $2,000 and we bought it back, several years ago, Jason? And the reserve value is the lowest dollar amount we would go in terms of selling it.
you wanna go at 300?
That's what Mr. Smith suggested, but it's open for debate.
If we get 2,000 for it, then
Looks like we paid $2,000 for it,
we worth more than that.
yeah. Okay. What's your thought?
I would say about $1,000, $1,200 at least.
Very good. Mr.
It hadn't been used that much, right?
Not by us.
Okay. Still works?
Yeah, runs
Okay.
fine.
Mr. Platt, your thought?
None.
No? Which figure do you support? 300 or 1,200?
Well, if it doesn't sell, it's gonna sit there and rust. Unless we haul it off, he can't haul it off, he doesn't have equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, get rid of it, bring the price down. I'll go with Mr. Smith.
Okay. What?
well, just make it a call, you know, let them kind of differ with them a little bit, you know, if you will. I would always use that extra money, so.
Can we not legally, put this burden on, someone that knows what they're doing, like Mr. Franklin? I have no idea what it's worth.
The procedure that you all approved for this particular action you're taking is, it says that the city council will approve a reserve amount, and it's based on of course, the year of the equipment itself, the year we purchased it, how much use it's had, and then it will go up for auction on govdeals.com. So the reserve amount is the absolute lowest you will accept
Absolute
for
lowest,
it.
yeah.
Right.
So we could get more.
Yes.
Would that be, would that involve sealed bids or public or?
The way it's done is govdeals.com, you can, if you're a municipality or a company, you can go on there and auction, you bid on it, and whoever gets it by the way auctions work. But a lot of cities use govdeals.com because they get the most money that way.
Mr. Webb, let's set it at 300 just to get some interest, get them bidding and competing. We might get a lot more than even 1,200.
Are we're gonna take the lowest bid?
We will take anything over 300.
It's like the highest bid.
But it'll be the highest, I'm sorry, yeah, the highest bid over 300.
Yeah.
Basically, it's some, for those of you who have dealt with buying
It's an
houses, if you're selling a house, or you're selling a condo and you're selling it on an online system, there's a price below which you won't go because it's no longer cost effective to go below that price. So that's basically what we're saying here. Now, we're talking about a 1991 steamroller that was bought for $2,000, and it is it's quite old, and too big to move. And in fact, moving it would cost more than the value, would it not? Okay. So our Public Works Director said it's too big, and it no longer meets our needs, and the idea was to take whatever profit was generated from the sale of this item and purchase something perhaps smaller that you could use on a regular basis.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's kind of where we are. So I've heard 1,200, I've heard 300 twice. Any other comments?
Mr. Watts, help me out here, say 300.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you.
Good. I'm comfortable with 300. Um, Is there a motion to approve with a reserve amount of $300?
Move we approve.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote?
Councilmember Watts?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Webb?
Yes.
Councilmember Platt?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes. Very good. Moving on to the next item. Resolution for disposition of certain surplus or unneeded city personal property, in this event, a Toro Z Master Mower. If you'll look on your piece of paper here, this is a Toro Z Master Mower. It's the oldest in the fleet. It was purchased in October of 2012. Smaller than the other mowers. We would like to purchase a larger, more capable mower. You've had 4 years of work out of it, but it still operates, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, the discussion is, what is the reserve amount agreed upon by council? And Mr. Smith, you want to kick it off?
I think we need to defer this to an expert on our council, so I'll defer to Mr. Platt then.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Okay, I'd put a.
The size of it again,
I believe it's a 55 inch,
55, yeah.
23 horsepower, Kawasaki horsepower,
How many hours?
600, approximately 600 hours.
And it was bought 4 years ago,
Yeah, it was bought before I started, so about 2012.
and it still works?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just, you need to rotate these things out because next year it may not be worth nothing or anything. So we want to get a little value while we still can.
Roughly how much have you spent on maintenance in the last year or two?
I don't have the approximate numbers, but I know it's been in the shop a lot.
Okay,
Just over this short period of time that we've used it this summer, it's been in the shop a
very
lot.
good.
So,
can the council member bid on it?
They need a good mechanic.
I'll put it down for $800.
800, Mr. Smith?
Second.
Mr. Smith, what you mean, Mr. Webb, sorry. 800? Platt?
Yes.
800? 800. Is there a motion to approve the reserve amount at $800?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? The reserve amount is $800.
Move we approve.
Okay.
Second.
Second?
We just-
Roll call, yeah, that was the amount.
Okay.
So now we do the roll call vote.
All right, Councilmember Watts?
Yep.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Webb?
Yes.
Councilmember Platt?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes, very good. I'm sure we'll have more of these in the future.
yeah, I think the chief's
Yeah.
got some for next time.
Yeah. And this gets back to the initiative we took not too long ago when we started to capture property and start to look at shelf life of equipment and systems. There comes a point when you purchase an item and the maintenance costs begin to overwhelm. And then at some point, like other cities do in other states and the federal government, you cut your losses, sell it for what you can get, have an auction, and then you move on. Otherwise, you continue to throw dollar after dollar after dollar at it, which is not too cost effective. I know for a fact, when you talk to the world of vehicles for the federal government, they keep a vehicle for 36 months. At month 37, they turn it over to a auction agency and they auction them off. And by doing so, they keep their maintenance costs down to minimum. So there's a lot to be said for that. Very good, moving on. Okay, resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Semmes and the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs and authorizing expenditure of funds for project number 15-LW 1022, Phase 2 of Semmes Municipal Park. I believe Jason spoke about this in depth during the work session. Are there any other questions or comments, Mr. Webb?
No.
Mr. Platt?
No, sir.
Mr. Smith?
Was there an amendment we made on this, or was that necessary?
Yes, sir. What we're doing is, on section 1 at the end, it'll say on an advance payment and/or reimbursement basis.
Okay, so it would be a resolution as amended, correct? Yes. You're comfortable with it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. good.
I move we approve.
Second?
Okay, there's a motion to approve as amended the resolution. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Watt?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Webb?
Yes.
Councilmember Platt?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes. Very good, resolution 9D is approved. The last resolution is resolution 9E, authorizing expenditure of funds to purchase clerk books, municipal accounting system. Mr. Smith discussed this issue during his discussions earlier during the work session and also during the Finance Committee. Discussion, Mr. Webb?
None.
Questions? Mr. Platt?
A question for Mr. Smith. I know that this has been a hard process, a lot of hair pulling, and I know it's been very aggravating, but can you say that this is the choice of the Finance Committee? It's not just a, let's do something and get out of this aggravation. I mean, you feel quite sure this is going to do the job.
Yes, I am. It's been pretty well vetted, and it's not just our committee, but staff is joined in recommending it, so.
I just hate to feel that you or others may feel we've got to make a decision. I mean, you know.
Well, let me make one note, maybe I'm repeating myself a little bit. The major part of the work we'll be doing is setting up that chart of accounts, setting up the structure of our bookkeeping system. Basically, the city has grown like topsy and started out basically a checkbook system. And municipal accounting is a whole different animal from just regular enterprise bookkeeping. These funds, all of these things that are going on are just not in the regular bookkeeping system. This will give us the new tools that our people need to give the reporting and accounting that we need. So we'll be able to tell where we are. So some systems are what you call proprietary systems. You don't look under the hood because it's a secret, and some of these systems that were shown to us were running up many thousands of dollars worth of maintenance every year, which is very suspicious to me because we need a system which is solid, not flaky, but something that's really solid, and this is based on a system which has been very stable over a number of years. So that's basically.
I just want to make sure y'all don't feel pushed into a corner or, you know, have to act right away.
Well, I should have mentioned before also that this gives us the opportunity to have our financial structure, bookkeeping set up in time to do our budgeting for the next year. So this will be just in time, hopefully, to give us that structure on which we can hang some good thought and consideration in establishing next year's budget.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. White? Question? Any other comments, Mr. White?
None.
Okay.
Mr. President, move we approve.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote?
Councilmember Watt?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Webb?
Yes.
Councilmember Platt?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes. Very good. That I believe that concludes the resolutions. Moving on to comments and announcements. Just want to remind everybody, as I said earlier, that the next council meeting will be on the 5th of July, which is one day later than normal. It will not be a Tuesday, it will be a Wednesday. That is because Tuesday is the 4th of July and a city holiday. We want our employees to be able to enjoy the holiday, so that's why we're moving it over one day on that, the 5th. And also, don't forget, on the 3rd of July at Mary G. Montgomery High School, we'll be having the major 4th of July celebration, fireworks, music, should be a lot of fun. The city will have a booth set up, and we'll be handing out items about hurricane preparedness and I guess probably giving out bottles of water and other things like that. Any other announcements, Ms. Denise, that I've overlooked for the time being? Okay, good. Any other comments or announcements from the council or the staff or the city clerk? Next item would be public comments. Do we have anybody here for public comments?
Mr. Tony Ebright.
Okay. Mr. Ebright is here for public comments.
Thank you guys for having me. Tony Ebright, 8936 Larry Drive, Semmes, Alabama. Because, you know, it's a hard act to follow Jerry's salary, but I would like to be considered for that position when it comes time for the city council to, go with it. I'm a, proud city Semmes, resident, and, like to see, the Semmes go forward. And as y'all realize on the election, even though I wanted to get Howard Smith, that's a great, mentor also, like, Jerry was, is, I lost by just a few votes from him, and while everybody else was, hundreds of votes, behind. But I would like to be considered for that position when the city, council comes forward to fill that position, and I appreciate your attention on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Very good. Is there any other business that might come before the meeting?
If I may,
Sir.
I'll try to be quick, but 4 items of interest. I don't know where I'm going to go with this, but I need, I guess sometimes I just try to push too hard, but may have to get with the city attorney on this, but I just want you guys to know what I'm up to. First question I have is, when this money comes back from these auctions, where we are selling equipment that is owned by the city but is under control of street department, where does that money go? Does it go into general fund? Does it go back into the department, or where's that? I mean, that's just a question. I don't have to have an answer right now.
I have the answer.
Okay.
The resolutions state that the funds go back into general fund. And then, as Jason mentioned, if he wanted to purchase something to replace the equipment later on, we would do a separate resolution to approve that expenditure.
Okay.
Or you could, when you work on your new budget, you could allocate more funds to that particular department, or however you want to do it.
Very good, thank you. Number 2, been on the look for a piece of property for a fire station, and have located a piece of property, and it's expensive. But I think that even if we could not afford to put a station there right now, I think that we need to do some serious consideration on this property. And I'm going to have the Public Safety Committee act on that right away. And I'll be coming to you guys with information and asking for advice and such. Let y'all know that's coming up. Please take into consideration the request for vehicles for our department heads, and please try to get me pointed in the right direction on annexation. I probably had 200 people indicate that they want to get in the city. So, like I said, the one-on-one's not getting it anymore.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Any other business? Yes.
Sorry, I forgot to mention in the staff report, but
That's all
the
right.
chief and I are keeping our eyes on the storm, and we've been talking on and off all day. We're gonna meet first thing in the morning to see if there's anything
Yeah.
that's changed, and we have a plan ready if we need to act, so just
Good.
let everybody know that.
Yeah, obviously this, right now it's just a storm,
Yeah.
a serious storm headed our way. A lot of rain anticipated. As you know, the cities of Semmes and Saraland have had major problems of late with water issues. This is not going to help them. We seem to have been doing fairly well with our drainage system so far, but as you mentioned, we'll watch it closely and we'll pay close attention this weekend. I think the bulk of it's supposed to hit tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, is that correct? Okay, so we'll stay in touch and we'll,
Well, the sooner y'all establish some communication from y'all's departments, the happier I'll be, because, I mean, y'all gonna be hand in hand out there.
Yeah, we've been talking about it and staying up to date on it.
Yeah, it's gonna be too wet for smoke signals.
I've got one thing, Mayor. Our fire prevention officer, Lieutenant Watson, he does a great job for us. He goes out and talks to our senior citizens. He's talked to people out at Hippo Apartments. He talks to our kids during fire prevention. He set up a table at Walmart this past Saturday. He signed up 14 households for smoke detector installation. So, you know, he just does a fantastic job. He does a lot of stuff on his off days. He doesn't even get paid for it.
right.
But he will be out at Walmart again this Thursday to partner with Walmart on some driver safety. A lot of people don't know that when they see an emergency vehicle to pull to the right, you know, they'll pull to the left, they'll slam on brakes in front of you. So he'll have some literature to hand out Thursday, and also try to sign up more people in the Semmes area for free smoke detectors.
That'd be great. It might be a good idea to have him at the festival too, at the 3rd of July ceremony in the booth, if he can work that out. Because that's important. Not knowing what to do when an emergency vehicle comes towards you with lights on, it's pretty basic,
I've seen it all.
pretty basic.
Will he be there all day Thursday?
Yeah.
He'll be there, it's on his Semmes Sparky Facebook page. I'm not exactly sure what the times are. Also, one other thing, the Gulf Coast RC&D grant has been closed out. We just got the last piece of equipment the other day. Brandy's been a big help on that. And so we should be getting that reimbursement check of $10,000 pretty soon.
Very good. That's a good way to close the meeting, getting the reimbursement check. All right. Any other business?
Mr. President, I move we adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.